Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham blog and to Tottenham Hotspur Transfer Talk live. There's quite a bit to get through today. We're going to be talking about Dominik Szoboszlai as well as any potential change in the future for Milan Skriniar. We're also going to be talking about the latest on Arkadiusz Milik, Sergio Reguilon, as there are more reports suggesting that Real Madrid may be interested in bringing Reguilon back to Madrid in the coming summer transfer window. We're also going to touch a bit on Heung-Min Son's new contract, the future of Gedson Fernandes, as well as updates on Marcel Sabitzer and Paulo Dybala. Before I get into that, if you are new to the channel and you haven't seen me around before, here's a quick message. So we might as well dive straight into things. If you are looking forward to this transfer news, make sure to give it a big thumbs up down below. We are also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers on this stream. We're about 6 away. So if you are new, please do support the channel. And straight away, we'll dive into the latest news on Dominik Szoboszlai. We heard from David Ornstein yesterday that Tottenham are interested in bringing in Dominik Szoboszlai in the upcoming January transfer window. First of all, welcome Merrick along to the stream. I'm doing great. Really looking forward to this one, Merrick. How are you? And we have the Irish Shade, David Harris, saying the transfer guru. Thanks a million, David. So yeah, as for Dominik Szoboszlai, David Ornstein says Tottenham are interested in him. His release clause is believed to be in and around £22.6 million, which for a man of his age, only 20 years old, already doing it on the European and international stage, I think is an absolute steal, and I think it's definitely something we should be looking into do. Ross Grange saying, killing it, Matt. Love the new video slides. Thanks a million, Ross. I do appreciate it, and welcome Ace to the stream as well. So Dominik Szoboszlai is definitely a player who was in the public eye and has been for a couple of months now. I'm sure a lot of you watching have heard of him before and do know what he is about. For those who doesn't, he is a left midfielder or central midfielder, does like to play in the attacking roles as well, and he is undoubtedly a technically gifted player who I think could be a fantastic addition to Tottenham squad and could come in initially as a squad depth player for some of those players in those positions who aren't exactly performing for us. He's of course playing on the left hand side a lot. He's a right-footed player, which I think suits our style very much, as well as with to do with the counter attack and cutting inside and trying to be influential on the right foot. He has been exceptional so far this season. He's 18 goal contributions in 19 appearances in all competitions for RB Salzburg and Hungary. And as Edgar there says, he's playing today for Salzburg against Atletico. He has 4 goals and 6 assists in 10 league appearances so far this season in the Austrian Bundesliga, which is a 29% goal participation rate for them. And look, I know he's playing in a very weak league. There, not a lot of people would respect the Austrian Bundesliga too much, but you do have to look at the quality of player that has been produced by RB Salzburg in the recent past. Players like Erling Braut Haaland, of course, moved on to Borussia Dortmund and is quickly becoming one of the best strikers in world football. Is of course Takumi Minamino at Liverpool at the moment, not having the best time there, but came from Salzburg as well. Patson Daka, a striker that Spurs were interested in bringing in from Salzburg over the summer, and even going back a bit further than that, players like Naby Keita and Sadio Mane came through the ranks at Salzburg. So they are definitely known for producing very, very talented players. And Szoboszlai, he's no different to that. He's a free kick specialist. I shared a tweet yesterday of a free kick he scored for Hungary against Turkey in some qualifiers recently from about 40 yards out, and the keeper didn't even move as the ball went off the post and in. He's absolutely outstanding. He scores from range. His vision is sensational. He's a really creative player who I think could definitely slot in to our midfield because of just the abilities he has. He is absolutely sensational. Make sure to put down in the live chat below your opinions on Szoboszlai and if you would like to see Spurs bring him in. Now, another player that we do want to touch on, and we're going to get Fabrizio Romano's input on this one. You may remember I had him on the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast not too long ago, and it is Milan Skriniar. We have heard from Romano in the last week or two that the situation remains the same with Skriniar. Inter Milan want 50 to 60 million pounds, and if Spurs are willing to pay that, the player is open to the move as well. So all Tottenham need to do is match Skriniar's valuation of the player, and he could then be open to move to Tottenham Hotspur. Now, before I do go any further on that, let's hear what Fabrizio Romano had to say when he was on the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast.
One of the main things around Tottenham's transfer, and I suppose you can call it the saga with Inter Milan, there was 3 players there with potential moves, and the first one is Milan Skriniar, one that Tottenham fans were hoping we would see get over the line. But I know you've said recently as well that Tottenham are expected to go back in January to try and get the Skriniar deal over the line. Do you think there's any potential for us to get that one done?
I think it won't be easy because, as I said, Inter also said, I'm not told that Tottenham is coming back, but Inter are waiting for Tottenham to come back in January. It's something different, but it's just an Inter feeling. They expect Tottenham to be back for Milan Skriniar, but they say, we told to Tottenham board also on last days before the deadline day, immediately they said the deadline day for Skriniar here was on Saturday and not on Monday, because they can't sell Milan Skriniar on last day without a replacement. So it was really impossible to sign Milan Skriniar on the deadline day. But they said also to Tottenham board, we are gonna sell Milan Skriniar just also in January, just if you are gonna pay 60 million euro. This is 50 million euro with 10 million euro add-ons. Won't be easy, in my opinion, because in January it's complicated to bid for 50 million euro. But let's see, because Tottenham, in my opinion, will decide not right now, but in November and December, understanding what will happen with their defense. They have been good in the start of season, so we have to see what happens if they want to pay 50 million euro for a centre-back in January. But Inter are expecting a move, so let's see, because in January, it will be a bit different, in my opinion, than normal January transfer window. It will be really busy because many clubs were waiting this summer. They had many problems also by financial part. Now in January, they can plan something. They can try again for top targets and not just for small players. So expect something important. I don't know if it's for Tottenham and for other clubs, but they expect some important moves also in January.
So Romano, they're keen to say that it is very difficult to bring in big targets in a January transfer window, but I think due to how different the summer transfer window was to any window before, of course, the financial impact of the lockdown and the season being suspended as well, and of course no fans in the ground, I think a lot of teams would have struggled to bring in their top targets in the summer. So perhaps January could be a time for them to pursue those deals even further. And we know Milan Skriniar was a very big target for Spurs in the summer. So if there are any moves from the summer that we could be revisiting, you would expect Milan Skriniar to be right at the top of that one. Now, we have been talking on this channel, and David Harris is in the live chat at the Irish Aid. Something we've been discussing is whether or not centre back would still be a key target for Spurs, because back in the summer, the defence seemed to be the weakest part of our team. We, of course, had lost Jan Vertonghen and we didn't really replace him. I think Milan Skriniar was the player we did want to replace him with, but we just couldn't agree a deal with Inter Milan. Then it ended up being Joe Rodon that we brought in late on in the EFL window as a centre-back. So I think at the time of the recording of this podcast, I think it was very clear that centre-back was a key target for us. However, we're now sitting in a situation 11 games into the season where we're top of the league with the best defence. We've only conceded 9 goals in our opening 11 games. We've kept, I think it's 5 clean sheets this season, all of which did come in our last 6 games, barring that home game against Brighton where we won 2-1. We've now just off the back of keeping clean sheets against Manchester City, Chelsea and Arsenal in consecutive order. So you'd really have to question whether or not centre-back is actually a key target for us. But if it is, I do think Milan Skriniar is the player that we will be going in for. There's also talk of Nikola Milenkovic from Fiorentina, who, interestingly enough, Inter Milan had targeted as their replacement for Skriniar if he was to leave during the summer window. So I think it is one to keep an eye on, but I would be more expecting Spurs to move for an attacking midfielder during the January transfer window, because the links that we've had in the last couple of weeks, it's been the likes of Marcel Sabitzer, Dominik Szoboszlai, and as Ishak points out here, there's news on Dybala as well. Now, I don't think Paulo Dybala will be joining Spurs this January. I do think he will be leaving Juventus, so and I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up in Paris with PSG, because 90minutes.com released a report the other day saying as far their sources have confirmed to them that PSG have offered, or Juventus have offered Paulo Dybala to each of the top 6 or the traditional big 6 teams in Italy, which are of course the 2 Manchester clubs, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal and Liverpool. So it does seem as though Juventus are keen to. They also need to get a lot of numbers off their wage book, because they're in dire financial straits at the moment. So they are looking to offload some players, and as well, you'd imagine they're going to be trying to fund a move for Paul Pogba as well, who does look likely to leave Manchester United. Now, there are reports coming out of Italy that Real Madrid are also interested in bringing in Paulo Dybala, and other reports, as I said, suggesting PSG could well and truly be in the mix for him, although that does seem to be a plan B for Thomas Tuchel's side if other transfer targets can't be acquired. So I really do expect Paulo Dybala to be on the move very shortly, but I don't think it'll be to Spurs, unfortunately. We have Edgar saying Szoboszlai and Sabitzer replacements for weeks. And yeah, I do think one of them will be brought in very, very shortly. I would be surprised if it's Marcel Sabitzer. Things seem to have gone very quiet on that front. And also after Leipzig beating Manchester United last night, they have progressed to the next round of the Champions League. So I'd be very surprised if if Marcel Sabitzer does leave Leipzig in the coming weeks. But they also have a lot of other attacking players that could potentially be on our radar, the likes of Emil Forsberg and Kunku as well, and Haidara, all playing very well for them at the moment. Alan Harry saying Liverpool paid £75 million for Van Dijk, and look what happened. They also needed a goalkeeper. We don't, which is a great point. It was Van Dijk and Alisson really transformed that Liverpool team. We already have the goalkeeper we need. So if we do get in a centre back, if it is Milan Skriniar, hopefully that can be a turning point for us, and it could be something that really pushes us on to the next level. Aaron Binstead saying, hello Matt, I'm worried how reliant we are on Højbjerg. Do you know if we are looking at any cover for him? And at the moment, it seems unlikely that we're looking for defensive midfielders, because we just have so many in our ranks. And Ndombele, of course, can sit back there as well. We've Sissoko, Højbjerg himself. There's the likes of Harry Winks, who are there as fringe players. And of course, Oliver Skip's still on loan at Norwich. So I don't think we are looking for a defensive midfielder at the moment. But as Ishak said a while ago, if there is one that we could be looking for, I think Frank Kessie is a fantastic option. But for now, there's nothing to suggest that we are looking for a defensive midfielder. Kwame, welcome to the stream, saying, hey Matt, I was doing something but I have to stop and be with you for the new updates. Thank you, Kwame. I really appreciate the support. Ishak saying Davinson Sanchez to go to Inter and we get Skriniar, so a swap deal. That is, of course, still an option. Mourinho is definitely not a fan of Milan, of Davinson Sanchez. He could potentially be on his way out of Spurs, and a way to fund a move for Milan Skriniar could be to offer Davinson Sanchez in a swap deal. Now, I think this will be very difficult, because it'll really come down to Inter Milan's valuations of Milan Skriniar and Sanchez, because the clip we just played there from Fabrizio Romano, in that same podcast, he did say to me that the reason Inter Milan are holding out for their fee is because Tottenham have done that to them in the past. Tottenham did it with Christian Eriksen when we were negotiating for him to move to Inter Milan. We set our price and we didn't budge. We made sure that Milan paid that price if they did want to bring Eriksen in. And Inter Milan are kind of just returning the favour and saying, we've set our price. You can either match it or we'll hold on to Milan Skriniar, because it's a weird situation with Skriniar that he's happy to stay at Inter Milan, but he would also be happy to move to Spurs. So it really is down to Tottenham now, because Skriniar is indifferent. He doesn't really care where he ends up. And for Inter Milan, if they get their money, they'll be happy to let him go. Inat Nurse, welcome along to the stream. Merrick saying, you were seriously amazing, loving everything. Thank you so much, Merrick. I appreciate it. Zachary, welcome along, saying Sanchez and Dele out. It's money sitting there. Look, I think that's a great point. I think Harry Winks could fall into that bracket as well. And of course, Danny Rose, who I think we're all waiting to leave the club at the moment. They're players that don't seem to be in Jose Mourinho's plans. They're playing every now and then in the Europa League, which I think is a bad sign for them, because they are just there to give other players a rest. In the January transfer window, I think it could help fund some moves for the likes of Szoboszlai or Skriniar. Risky Voice saying, I think we should just get Szoboszlai. And look, I'm exactly the same. He's an extremely talented footballer, and I've been saying this since before we even were linked with him. And Inat Nurse asking, is there any news on Szoboszlai? And all it is at the moment is David Ornstein reporting that Tottenham are interested in signing Szoboszlai, who does have a release clause of about £22.6 million in his contract. His current contract does expire in May 2022. So I think if we do want to get him, it could be important to move for him in January, because if he does sign a new contract, if Salzburg do want to kind of protect their assets and make sure they do get a heftier price for Szoboszlai, I think they'll be very quick to extend his current contract and probably increase that release clause after January if he doesn't move on then. So I think if we do want to get Szoboszlai, I think we need to act on that very quickly. Now, another player I want to talk about is Sergio Reguilon, and I'm sure you've all seen it. There's reports that have been going on really since the beginning of the season that Real Madrid have already decided they do want to bring Reguilon back to the Bernabeu. They're really struggling this season. They're playing in the Champions League group stage tonight. They could drop down to the Europa League for the first time in their history. They're really struggling in the domestic league. They recently lost to Alaves. They're all over the place at the back, and Reguilon potentially could be a player they want to bring back in. I don't know if they want to bring in through a new era of players to be their the next Marcelo or whatever. But there are so many reports that Reguilon could be coming back. And before I talk a bit more on this, I just want to bring in Fabrizio Romano on how Spurs managed to get Reguilon, and also what the future may hold if Real Madrid do opt to utilise that buyback option.
The way Tottenham have gone about getting this deal done, and that's also something that's been mentioned with our signing of Sergio Reguilon. And we know that there's been interest from Inter Milan for him this summer. A team that Reguilon played against in last season's Europa League final, and also Inter Milan in the Champions League again this season, and Manchester United as well, also interested in getting in Reguilon. But what was it that made the player choose Spurs?
It was another complicated deal just because in this case, more than Inter were interested, but the player wanted to move to the Premier League. He was really close to join Manchester United. The deal was really close to be completed. The player was convinced to join Manchester United before Tottenham joined the race. So he was ready to move to Manchester United. Then what's happened? That Tottenham made an important bid and they accepted to allow also the buyback option for Real Madrid. They called it la recompra in Spanish football. And so they have the opportunity to sign the player back in 2 and in 3 years. And Manchester United always say they didn't want this clause. They just accepted to sign the player on a permanent deal without any clause. So Tottenham accepted just because it was the only option to sign Reguilon. So if you want Reguilon, you know that in 2 or 3 years, Real Madrid can come back and sign the player. But remember, the final decision will always be of the player, not just of Real Madrid. So tomorrow morning, Real Madrid can come back to Tottenham and say, okay, I bring Reguilon back to Real Madrid. They need to have the green light from the player. And let's see, because Tottenham, in my opinion, are convinced that the player will suit with Premier League, will be happy to join Tottenham also in the future. And they hope that the player can stay for many and many years. We will see, but in my opinion, it was a really good deal because Sergio is fantastic left back. You saw him also against Manchester United at the start of this new chapter, but he's really fast, he's skillful, he has good crosses, he's really young. He's coming from, as you said, Sevilla, playing Europa League, winning the Europa League, from Real Madrid mentality, so he's a winning mentality. He's always ready to play in European football. So you are going with a fantastic left back, in my opinion, one of the best in the world.
And yeah, as Fabrizio Romano says there, it's the final decision does lie with the player. I think that was, for me anyway, early on in this, it was one of the biggest worries. You know, would Reguilon have a say if he did enjoy his time at Tottenham? Would the buyback option mean he had to go back to Real Madrid? But that isn't the case. As Ishak says there, he has to agree to the deal. It is Reguilon himself who has the final decision there. Paul saying, not worried about Reggie as the buyback ends if Zidane is no longer manager, and I can't see him lasting. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know that, to be honest. But if that is the case, I think we could be a bit lucky there because, as I said, Real Madrid really struggling at the moment. I think if they do get knocked out of the Champions League tonight, I find it very difficult to see them holding on to Zinedine Zidane as manager. And also, they're all over the place in the league. They're really, really falling behind the league leaders, Atletico, at the moment. So I think Zidane is in trouble there. But if that is true, if the buyback ends with Zidane leaving the club, I think we could be very lucky. Merrick saying, if we win a trophy this season, I hope it will be enough to convince Reguilon to stay at Spurs. Again, that's the thing. And as Romano said there, Tottenham are very confident that the player would want to stay at the club. And I think the way things are going with the fantastic form we're showing domestically now, really, really looking to win some trophies the next season or two. And also just how happy Reguilon is and how immediately he seems to have bought into the club and how much he loves the fans and the players and the passion he shows on the pitch. I think it may be difficult for him to turn away from Spurs and go back to Real Madrid, a club that have already, of course, let him go. He was on loan at Sevilla last season where he won the Europa League, and now they've sold him permanently. I know there is a buyback option there, but it's just that bit different. Welcome Philip along to the stream. In that nurse saying, can Szoboszlai play on the right wing? I don't know if he can, but he hasn't. He is predominantly a midfielder who can also play in central midfield and in more central attacking roles as well. I think the best way to describe the way he plays is kind of he's in that free role behind the striker, but he does like to kind of drift out left as well. I haven't seen him play on the right myself, but as a right-footed player, I'm sure that wouldn't be too much of an ask from him. Risky voice, if left back do you think we might get? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I feel like it's always been the case that there's never that many world-class or fullbacks out there. You know, if you're looking at left backs at the moment, there's of course Andy Robertson, Alphonso Davies, Sergio Reguilon, maybe even Ben Chilwell in that bracket. But there aren't really that many world-class fullbacks out there. It's the same on the other side for right backs. Alexander Arnold is definitely up there. You might put Kyle Walker in that bracket, Joshua Kimmich or Benjamin Pavard for Bayern Munich, I think, as well. But it's never really been that many world-class fullbacks. And at the moment, I'd struggle to kind of identify a player that we could bring in as a replacement if Reguilon did go back to Real Madrid. But I think at the moment, there's definitely an element of confidence that he may actually stay at Spurs beyond the 2 years, even if Real Madrid do try and activate that buyback clause. Merrick saying, if Zidane gets sacked, Pochettino will get the job. Look, as far as I'm concerned, I'd be happy for Pochettino to get any job outside of the Premier League. I just don't want us to be competing against Pochettino because it would be just I'd be happy for him to get a job at Real Madrid or somewhere like that where you would imagine he'd go on and be successful. Philip saying, Reguilon, if he leaves, we could buy Bailey, I think, for the Manchester United player. Aaron saying, I thought we'd Reguilon for 2 seasons, then Real Madrid have the option to take him back. So the way this is structured is that we have him. I think we signed him on a 5-year contract for £30 million. Real Madrid have a buyback option which lasts 2 years, and it can be activated in the summer of 2021 or 2022. So it lasts 2 years, but there are two different time periods there where they can choose to activate the buyback option. It'll be for £45 million if they do want to buy him back. So it'll be a £50 million profit for Spurs, a 50% profit margin. And of course, the decision then, as we heard from Fabrizio Romano, is ultimately the player's decision. So it does last for 2 seasons, but they can bring it back either in the summer of 2021 or the summer of 2022. Bainesy saying, big up, Matt, keep up the great content. Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words. Merrick saying, if Reguilon leaves, we should sign Angelino. He's been amazing so far this season. Angelino, another player, plays with RB Leipzig, a left back, of course, scored and got an assist against Manchester United. He's doing very well there. I mean, he has failed in the Premier League in the past. Of course, Manchester City letting him go, but that's definitely an option if we do need to bring in a left back. Ishak saying we should have sold Winks for 40 million when City were interested. I think that's an opinion a lot of Spurs fans would have at the moment. And look, I've been very keen to defend Harry Winks in the past. I'm not going to deny that. I thought in the past, especially in that Pochettino era, he did offer a lot to us, but at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be the case. And, he made those comments recently complaining about not getting first team football and how it would affect his chances of making the England Euro squad. But yeah, I think in hindsight, perhaps if those rumours were true about Manchester City being interested in signing him, I think perhaps we should have accepted that offer. Park Lane N17 saying if we win the league, he'll definitely stay. Aaron saying thanks for the clarity, no problem at all. I also want to touch on Heung-Min Son, and this is news that will definitely be music to the ears of Spurs fans. And Fabrizio Romano today confirmed that Tottenham are progressing in their negotiations to tie Heung-Min Son down to a new contract. It's expected to be a long-term contract, potentially 5 or 6 years, and it will put him on parity with Harry Kane as the highest paid player at Spurs, excluding, of course, Gareth Bale, who technically is still a Real Madrid player. £200,000, I think, is the sum for Harry Kane at the moment. And it's going to be a massive one for Spurs to tie Son down to another contract, especially as it is so long-term. 5, potentially 6 years, I think, is huge. And it just goes to show the love Son does have for the club, committing so much of his future to the team. And it'll be very good seeing him signing that contract when the graphic is released. Now, I do want to say there are nearly 50 people watching here. Thank you very much for joining. If you are enjoying the stream, if you're happy with this transfer news, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, here's a quick message. Merrick is saying let's get Milik for free in the summer rather than paying 35 million for Vinicius. I haven't been impressed with him so far. We got another update from Fabrizio Romano on the future of Arkadiusz Milik today in his Here We Go podcast, and he said that even though Napoli are looking to offload Milik and Milik is open to a move to England, Tottenham are no longer interested in signing him. I would have to disagree with you on that. I've been very impressed with Carlos Vinicius. I know he's mainly played in the Europa League, but I think he's been a very good player. He's, of course, scored goals. He's got assists. And the league cameo he did have at the Hawthorns when he beat West Brom, I thought he was really good. And he really complemented Harry Kane's game, allowing, kind of taking the attention of the defenders and allowing the spaces to open up for Harry Kane, which ultimately got us the goal in that game and got us the 3 points to put us top of the table. I think Vinicius is a really good option. Of course, we have quite a while left to decide if we do want to spend that amount of money on him. But I think for now, I think Vinicius is a very good option. And if he does go back, of course, Milik is there in the summer, potentially for free, provided he doesn't leave Napoli in the January window, or he doesn't sign a new contract or anything like that. Welcome, Martin Hawkins, to the stream. Vinicius has been very good. Risky Voice saying, with Gareth Bale's performances, do you think Tottenham will buy him permanently? I think the situation with Gareth Bale won't change at all. We've, of course, signed him initially on a 1-year loan deal from Real Madrid. Now, there are 2 years left on his Real Madrid contract, and we do have the option in that loan deal to extend the loan by a further year, which would, of course, see him through to the end of his Real Madrid contract. So, although initially it is a 1-season-long loan deal, it will become a 2-season-long loan deal. And then when his contract expires at Real Madrid, we'll then have to make the decision if we do want to bring him in permanently. But of course, if we do want to do that, there'll be no transfer fee involved. There may be some sort of compensation to be paid to Real Madrid if that is how things like that work. But I don't think we'll buy him permanently, but we could pick him up at the end of his Real Madrid contract in 2022. Marcelo, welcome along to the stream. Marcelo was on here on Sunday for the watch along of the Arsenal game. Thanks very much for joining us, Marcelo. Michael Barrett saying, hey Matt, do you think Sessegnon could step up if Sergio went back to Real? Love your content. Thanks a million, Michael. Appreciate it. I think, look, Sessegnon is definitely an option there, and someone I forgot about when the question was there a while ago, if Reguilon did go back to Real Madrid, who could we potentially bring in as a left back? Sessegnon is an option for sure. He's doing very, very well at Hoffenheim at the moment. He got their player of the month and is playing in a system that would be very similar to the way he played at Spurs, which is, of course, why Mourinho handpicked Hoffenheim as a potential destination for him. He's already set up his game, and I thought it was a bit harsh on him to loan him out. I know it was definitely the best option for him, but having brought in Sergio Reguilon and Gareth Bale, two players who play in Sessegnon's two positions, I think it had to happen. He did have to go out on loan, but definitely there's definitely a future there for him at Tottenham. Martin Hawkins saying, could you see Ozil reuniting with Jose, who loves him? Unfortunately, I can't see that happening. I think, look, Jose is a manager who got the best out of Mesut Ozil when he was at Real Madrid, and he's playing a very similar style of football now, but I just can't see that one happening, unfortunately. The Arsenal to Spurs transfer, I think, would be the main thing to block that one. Merrick saying we need Frank Kezia or Yves Bissouma to replace Sissoko. I don't think we need a replacement for Sissoko. I think he's been fantastic this season, but Kezia and Bissouma, definitely two fantastic players that we'd be lucky to have if we could bring him in. Park Lane saying Milik is hot trash. Ross Grange saying, what do you think of Brentford's new kit? I haven't seen it, to be honest. I don't know what that one is. Marcelo saying, is it possible that we call back for Cess and Skip, especially considering how poor Winks and Davis have been? I'm not entirely sure if that is an option, but if it is, I'm sure it's something Tottenham will be considering. Two players who are really, really thriving out in their loan deal. Skip, both have won accolades already as far as player of the month and all that stuff. So they're the two players who really, really do have a future at Spurs, in my opinion, compared to two players who are probably coming to the end of their Spurs career in Harry Winks and Ben Davis. I'm not sure what options there are there to call them back, but definitely, even when they come back in after the loan deal expires in the summer, I think they're really good options for us to have going forward. Paul Markey saying Carlos is a gem and given chances will prove himself, and I completely agree with you on that one. I think Vinicius, even in the appearances he's had so far, has really impressed me, and I think there is definitely a place in this team for him. Park Lane saying sell Winks, we've Skip coming back next season, which goes along the same line as Marcelo. Oliver Skip coming back, I think, will be a lot closer to the first team upon his return than he ever has been before. As I said, doing really, really well at Norwich. And speaking of loan deals, there's, of course, a player at Tottenham Hotspur that to be honest, a lot of us have really forgotten about because we haven't seen him in the Europa League or any competition for that matter, and it is Jedson Fernandez. It's surprising that he's still at the club because he offers absolutely nothing, and you'd imagine from a Benfica point of view why they wouldn't want to call him back because they're all that's is really happening is that his reputation, his abilities as a player are being damaged by sitting on the sideline at Spurs. And as far as I'm aware, he's not playing for the youth teams either. We have the option to buy him for £55 million next summer, but I think we can all agree that's not going to happen. Park Lane saying Jedson will be off in January. I certainly hope so because I imagine we're paying some of his wages and he's just not offering anything to the team. Martin saying you're right about Sissoko, who's doing exactly what Jose has asked him to. I think it's credit to Jose Mourinho that the likes of Moussa Sissoko and Sergio Aurier are being utilised tactically so well. I think I have a little clip here of how they were used against Arsenal, or maybe I don't have it up now, but Sissoko, he's a rash player. I don't think anyone would deny that, but he's been so good under Jose Mourinho. The way he's played, the way he's kind of bought into Mourinho's tactics. Defensively, he's been really important to us, against the likes of Manchester City, Chelsea and Arsenal. He did do a lot of work dropping in defensively, and I would be very surprised if we did target a Edgar saying, I think Jose rates Davis and Sessegnon will become an understudy to Son because in pre-season Jose used Sess up forward, if I'm not wrong. No, I think that is definitely the way he was used, and I think Mourinho has said it. He doesn't see Sessegnon as a fullback. He doesn't have the physicality for it. I'm not sure if he even has the defensive capabilities. But as a wing back, I think potentially Sessegnon could have a future at Spurs. Max Duke asking what the news is on Skriniar. Fabrizio Romano has said it remains the same with Skriniar. There's a price tag there of £50 to £60 million. And if Tottenham match that, the player will be theirs because he is open to the move. but Inter Milan will not budge on their price tag of him. And just as a quick reminder, I know I played it already, but just to get this opinion again, here's what Fabrizio Romano said about Milan Skriniar and any potential move in January when he was on the Tottenham Fan Voice podcast a couple of months ago.
One of the main things around Tottenham's transfer, and I suppose you can call it the saga with Inter Milan, there was 3 players there with potential moves, and the first one is Milan Skriniar, one that Tottenham fans were hoping we would see get over the line. But I know you've said recently as well that Tottenham are expected to go back in January to try and get the Skriniar deal over the line. Do you think there's any potential for us to get that one done?
I think it won't be easy because, as I said, Inter also said, I'm not told that Tottenham is coming back, but Inter are waiting for Tottenham to come back in January. It's something different, but it's just an Inter feeling. They expect Tottenham to be back for Milan Skriniar, but they say, we told to Tottenham board also on last days before the deadline day, immediately they said the deadline day for Skriniar deal was on Saturday and not on Monday because they can't sell Milan Skriniar on last day without replacement. So it was really impossible to sign Milan Skriniar on the deadline day. But they said also to Tottenham board, we are gonna sell Milan Skriniar just also in January, just if you are gonna pay 60 million euro. This is 50 million euro with 10 million euro add-ons. Won't be easy, in my opinion, because in January it's complicated to bid for 50 million euro. But let's see, because Tottenham, in my opinion, will decide not right now, but in November, in December, understanding what will happen with their defense. They have been good in the start of season, so we have to see what happens if they want to pay 50 million euro for a centre-back in January. But Inter are expecting a move, so let's see, because in January, it will be a bit different, in my opinion, than normal January transfer window. It will be really busy because many clubs were waiting this summer. They had many problems also by financial part. Now in January, they can plan something. They can try again for top targets and not just for small players. So expect something important. I don't know if it's for Tottenham and for other clubs, but they expect some important moves also in January.
Risky Void saying, who do you think will have a better future at Spurs, Dane Scarlett or Troy Parrott? Look, I think that they're both players who could have a massive future at Spurs. Dane Scarlett making it look easy down in those youth leagues. He scored another hat-trick there, I think, at the weekend. And of course, looked really positive and confident when he came on against Ludogorets in the Europa League. Troy Parrott, I think, perhaps in a better position at the moment, getting some first-team experience with Millwall. But look, Scarlett, only 16, I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on. Ross Grange saying Brentford's Marcus Forss, been linked with him a couple of times in the last few days. To be honest with you, Ross, I haven't seen those links at all. I don't know who the player is, but I think it's definitely a positive thing because the players that Brentford have produced over the last couple of seasons have been absolutely outstanding. Brentford themselves very unlucky not to be in the Premier League this season, but having already sent the likes of Said Benrahma and Ollie Watkins to the Premier League, and they do still have players there like Brian Mbeumo and another attacking midfielder whose name is I can't think of at the moment. I think any player from Brentford we're being linked to would definitely be good news. Paul Markey saying Sissoko is one of the best defensive shields in the Premiership and balances our midfield, and I absolutely agree with you on that one. And I'm going to see if I can get this this clip of how Sissoko was utilised tactically against Arsenal, because I think it's very interesting. It's not the only time he's been used in this way. He's been against Manchester City, as I say, kind of dropping into deal with Bernardo Silva. Against Chelsea, he was there when Timo Werner was dropping into the space. And against Arsenal, it was very similar. If I have this video loading there, I'll play it when it does come up. Going back to the comments, in Nurse thing, I think Szoboszlai would go to RB Leipzig. And look, it wouldn't be a surprise if it happened. They're, of course, sister clubs. I don't think anyone would be shocked if it did happen. But Leipzig, they're just they've so many players in those positions. I'd be surprised if they did spend money on him. I think they have more than enough in those areas already. Of course, Sabitzer, Forsberg and Kunku, Haidara, other players who can play in there as well. I'd be surprised if he did go to Leipzig. And just quickly, let's play this clip here of how Moussa Sissoko and many others were used tactically against Arsenal. But what I want to take a look at now is just a quick kind of tactical thing that we saw yesterday. And for the majority of this game, it was Arsenal lining up in a 3-4-3 and Spurs defending with the low block in a 4-4-2. As you can see there, Lefels went up and sitting alongside Harry Kane. And one thing teams have done against us this season, we saw it against Manchester City. They were pushing Bernardo Silva right out onto the left to try and target Sergio Aurier. They're pushing Bernardo Silva out there with Ferran Torres. Against Chelsea last week, they Timo Werner dropping into the wide space, and they were pushing players on and again trying to overload the left. And Arsenal did the exact same thing yesterday, and it nearly worked for them. I do have to say, Kieran Tierney got some fantastic crosses in, especially early on in that second half. But what they did was they dragged Aubameyang in kind of central. They pushed Saka on and they pushed Tierney on as well, which causes, of course, this overload out here. on this left hand side for Arsenal, and it definitely caused us problems for a lot of that game, especially early on in the second half. And I was saying it to David yesterday. In the Chelsea game, they brought Hakim Ziyech narrow. It was on the other side when they tried this. They brought Hakim Ziyech narrow and created the space out wide for Reece James sprinting forward. And I said it to David as soon as we started to see Arsenal picking up these spaces. I said Mourinho's going to be able to counteract this. He knows what to do. He's a better tactician than any manager in the Premier League. And in the end, he did do this because Granit Xhaka started dropping deep and picking up possession back there. Which again is something Chelsea did. Mason Mount was dropping into these positions for them, and he was carrying the ball forward, and it was forcing Bergwijn out of position here to try and stop that. And they had this overload on the left hand side, and straight away Jose Mourinho counteracted that by keeping Bergwijn out wide and bringing Harry Kane into the space here to counteract Xhaka coming forward, which again completely nullifies the main threat that Arsenal had. They had a few chances with crosses from the left. I think Aubameyang hit one over, and Lacazette had one well saved by Lloris. I know came from the other side, but the initial attack came down the left. And it just goes to show, with Harry Kane especially, how every single player in this team knows what they need to do defensively. There's no player out there who's thinking, no, I'm a striker, I'm an attacker, I'm not going to do anything else. Son was tracking Bellerin, Bergwijn was tracking Tierney and Saka. Kane, of course, nullifying the threat there of Granit Xhaka. Michael Barrett here saying Jedson potentially really good, but it's just not happened for him. Needs to regroup and restart his career. Needs to go back, regroup, and restart his career. Not for us, though. And I completely agree with you on that one, Michael. Aaron saying, how much would you value Davinson Sanchez at, and what clubs will come in for him, in your opinion? Martin there as well saying QGC is getting 30 million for Sanchez and 25 for Winks. As far as Davinson Sanchez goes, we won't be getting anywhere near what we paid for him. I think it was £42 million. We paid Ajax in 2017 or 2018, whatever it was, to bring him in. We won't be getting that back at all. As Michael says, he has potential. About Jedson, but yeah, no, Sanchez does have potential. It's not working out for him for some reason, and I don't know why. And look, we know Mourinho was never a fan of him. He targeted him in that Europa League final when he's at Manchester United. So I think we should probably cut our losses because he's not going to get any better. I think it's similar for Harry Winks. I think if we can get 40 million maybe for the two of them combined, I think we'll be doing well. Park Lane said, would Skriniar go into our team? Dyer and Alderweireld has been outstanding this season. And that's what we were saying earlier on. I've been just discussing it a lot with the Irish Shid, David Harris, as well. It's just hard to see why Tottenham would spend so much money on a centre-back this January, because back in summer when we were looking for him, the central defence was the weakest part of our team, and it's where we were looking to improve. But at the moment right now, I don't think there's any need for us to target a centre-back, because we have the best defence in the league this season, having just conceded 9 in our 11 games. We've kept 5 clean sheets, each of which have come within our last 6 games. We've just kept 3 consecutive clean sheets against Manchester City, Chelsea and Arsenal, and we're a fantastic defensive unit. And I think it would take a while for Skriniar to become acclimatised to the way we play defensively. So perhaps at the moment, Skriniar just isn't someone we are looking to bring in. Niall saying, sell Ali, Dele, Winks and Sanchez, bring in Skriniar and Dybala. Darren saying Dybala can't be that good if Juve are begging clubs to buy him. The situation at the moment with Juve and them wanting to get rid of Dybala is purely down to financial reasons. They just can't afford to keep him on. I think when we were looking for him last summer, he wasn't in Maurizio Sarri's plans, but since then he has become a first-team player for Juventus. But they're just in a really poor financial position at the moment, and they do need to cut back on their wages. And Dybala is just a player they have identified as perhaps one they're paying a bit more than they should be. So I imagine that is why they're trying to let him go. Michael Barrett saying Dele could and can still be big for us this season. Look, Dele, I think the difference between Dele Alli and Harry Winks is we know Ali has the natural ability, whereas perhaps it's just not there as much with Harry Winks. And if Ali works, I can see him getting back into this Mourinho team, but for now it's just not looking likely. Darren saying if Ali can get his confidence back, we have one hell of a player. And definitely, he's shown it in the past. He can do it. That was 50 of you watching. Again, thank you very much to everyone who is watching. Make sure to smash that like button if you are enjoying it. And if you are new to the channel, we have a little message here from Marcelo that you may want to pay attention to.
Listen, I'll sum it up for you. Subscribe to Matt Hayes right now. Follow the membership. Join the club. This man is going to follow. He's going to bring Tottenham to new heights. He's going to become a pundit. He's going to represent us, all right? If you're tired of Clown Sports FC, you're tired of ESPN FC, get on this board right now, bro, because we need a Tottenham pundit, and Matt Hayes is the next Tottenham pundit, so support him right now.
And there's Marcelo himself saying, great as always, Matt. Got to go. Best of luck. Thank you very much, Marcelo. My own personal hype man there. Thanks for joining the stream. We do need another centre-back if we sell Sanchez. And perhaps that could be it. Someone made the point a while ago Inter Milan could be interested in Davinson Sanchez, so potentially a swap deal there for Sanchez and Skriniar could do us good. It would help, of course, cut down the price of Milan Skriniar. But yeah, perhaps if Sanchez does go, we do need another centre back. The options that we have in there at the moment are, of course, Oliver and Dyer, the starting centre backs, like of Rodon, Tanganga, and Ben Davies fitting in there as well. And look, if we do let Sanchez go, we still have 5. But yeah, maybe Skriniar could be more of a requirement if we do let Davinson Sanchez go. But of course, we'll have to wait and see if Sanchez will leave. If he will leave in the January transfer window. Now, I just do want to say as well, I'm trying to get into 4,000 subscribers tonight. We're on 3,994, so we're agonizingly close, just 6 away. So please, if you are new to the channel, make sure to go down and smash that subscribe button for more of these interactive live streams, plus Tottenham Fan Voice podcasts, live watch-alongs. We're doing a massive one with the Liverpool fan, David Harris, the Irish Shid, and Marcelo next Wednesday for the Liverpool game. So make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that one. Darren Fearon enjoying Marcelo's little call to action there. Yeah, look, there's not really much else if we get there to touch on today. Just to recap the main bits, Dominik Szoboszlai is a target for Tottenham in the January transfer window. That's according to David Ornstein. He has a release clause of £22.6 million in his contract, so definitely an option there for Spurs. A very technically gifted player. The situation remains the same with Milan Skriniar. If Tottenham do offer £50 to £60 million for him, Inter Milan will accept, and the player will be open to a move. So definitely potential there to bring him in. As for Sergio Reguilon, there are more reports coming out today that Real Madrid are getting ready to activate the buyback clause in his contract for this summer. Of course, that's a 2-year buyback option that can be activated either in the summer of 2021 or 2022. So we'll have to wait and see how that one goes. Steve Roughhead, welcome. I think if we were to get Skriniar and Dybala or Sabitzer, we would win the title, not just this year, but for the coming seasons. And look, I think that's it for me as well. Of course, we're top of the table now. We've been here for about a month. The question that was always asked of us was, but we play the big teams, and we've got 7 points against City, Chelsea and Arsenal. I think right now we can win the league, but if we add the likes of Skriniar or one of Dybala and Sabitzer, or even Szoboszlai, who I put in a similar bracket to the two of those, I think we could be very likely to win that league title. Niall saying, great stream as usual, subscribe to support Matt. Thank you very much, Niall. I do appreciate that. Yeah, as we were saying on Reguilon, there are reports that Real Madrid are looking to activate that buyback option, but ultimately the decision is down to him at the end of the day. We might as well just bring in Fabrizio Romano on this one about, first of all, why Reguilon chose Spurs, but also what that buyback option actually entails. The way Tottenham have gone about getting this deal done, and that's also something that's been mentioned with our signing of Sergio Reguilon. And we know that there's been interest from Inter Milan for him this summer. A team that Reguilon played against in last season's Europa League final. And also Inter Milan in the Champions League again this season, and Manchester United as well, also interested in getting in Reguilon. But what was it that made the player choose Spurs?
It was another complicated deal, just because in this case, more than Inter were interested, but the player wanted to move to the Premier League. He was really close to join Manchester United. The deal was really close to be completed. The player was convinced to join Manchester United before Tottenham joined the race, so he was ready to move to Manchester United. Then what's happened? That Tottenham made an important bid, and they accepted to allow also the buyback option for Real Madrid. They called it La Recompra in Spanish football. And so they have the opportunity to sign the player back in 2 and in 3 years. And Manchester United always say they didn't want this clause. They just accepted to sign the player on a permanent deal without any clause. So Tottenham accepted just because it was the only option to sign Reguilon. So if you want Reguilon, you know that in 2 or 3 years, Real Madrid can come back and sign the player. But remember, the final decision will always be of the player, not just of Real Madrid. So tomorrow morning, Real Madrid can come back to Tottenham and say, okay, I bring Reguilon back to Real Madrid. They need to have the green light from the player. And let's see, because Tottenham, in my opinion, are convinced that the player will suit with Premier League, will be happy to join Tottenham also in the future. And they hope that the player can stay for many and many years. We will see, but in my opinion, it was a really good deal because Sergio is fantastic left back. You saw him also against Manchester United at the start of this new chapter, but he's really fast, he's skillful, he has good crosses, he's really young. He's coming from, as you said, Sevilla, playing Europa League, winning the Europa League, from Real Madrid mentality, so he's a winning mentality. He's always ready to play in European football. So you are going with a fantastic left back, in my opinion, one of the best in the world.
Michael Barrett saying, do you think Jose could stay long term, 3 years plus even? I think it's unlikely with Jose Mourinho, but the possibility is definitely there. I know he's just become an ambassador for some charitable organization in Tottenham. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but he seems happy. You know, we're a year in now, and nothing seems to be slowing down. Nothing seems to be going all right for him. Saying it depends how Jose is in the next few years. His reputation of getting toxic, and that's the biggest concern. I think, if anything, that's the only concern with Jose Mourinho and any potential long-term future he may have at the club. Jared Lee saying whoever gets Szoboszlai gets Haaland, and look, if we could bring in Szoboszlai and Haaland, I think we'd definitely be the favourites for a few league titles in the next couple of years there as well. Thank you very much to everyone who has joined. It's been a fantastic stream. I hope we put across that transfer news well enough for you. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to go down and subscribe. We also have channel memberships available. So if you are interested in those, make sure to go down and hit the join button, and everything will be explained for you there. As I said, we'll be live next Wednesday for the Liverpool game. We'll be joined by David Harris, the Irish Yid, Marcelo, and a Liverpool fan as well. So that'll be a very interesting one as Tottenham go and play possibly one of the biggest games in our title race, visiting Anfield. A win there could definitely put us out in front as the favourites to win the league title. As I said, everyone who has joined, thank you so much. Smash like, hit subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.
Listen, I'll sum it up for you. Subscribe to Matt Hayes right now. Follow the membership. Join the club. This man is going to follow. He's going to bring Tottenham to new heights. He's going to become a pundit. He's going to represent us, all right? If you're tired of Clown Sports FC, you're tired of ESPN FC, get on this board right now, bro, because we need a Tottenham pundit, and Matt Hayes is the next Tottenham pundit, so support him right now.